Johnny Mae would be very proud of that
would.
if she were living.
Owner's husband's family, who ran a drugstore in Corpus Christi, Texas, owned this Meeson porcelain figurine, and his mother, Johnny Mae, adored indulging in luxuries, much like this one. This item would have been considered a luxury back then and was probably expensive when it was bought.
Well, this would have been a luxury to own back then. It would have been expensive at any time that you might have bought it.
Despite its intricate design with various delicate items like fingers, toes, and plants, there's minimal damage, indicating careful preservation. This sculpture features two female nudes, a baby-like figure in a net with fish, and other intricate details showcasing exceptional craftsmanship. The quality of the modeling and painting indicates it's Meeson, confirmed by the mark resembling crossed swords with dots underneath, suggesting it was produced between 1850 and 1924. Another significant detail is the model number, C35, which identifies it as the capture of the Tritons, a mythological theme frequently found in Meeson pieces. Originally modeled by Candler in the 18th century, Meeson reused the molds, placing the creation of this piece in the late 19th century, over 100 years later. Given its age and exceptional quality, this piece commands a retail value
$4,000 and $6,000. This is a quite nice example.
Johnny Mae would be very proud of that if she were living.
Guest bought a chair she inherited from her late husband. Her husband acquired it at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. The chair had been stored in her closet for 22 years as it did not match her home's decor. Its intimidating appearance with a mean-looking face gave it a unique appeal for the collectors. Its exceptional craftsmanship was praiseworthy, likely made in a semi-factory setting with significant handwork. The appraiser's expert eye estimated this hidden treasure's value at
$2,000 or $3,000 in a high-end retail store.
Jewelry is known to be striking, but this show-stopping emerald bracelet seems to top the pyramid. Passed down to our guest by his grandfather.
Well, my great-grandfather, he invented the sprinkler within buildings to put out fires. And my grandfather was on the manufacturing side of things, so he traveled around the world.
For most people, this jewelry looks weird after all. It's not like today's jewelry, but for antique enthusiasts, you can immediately notice it's a quality piece laced with shiny stones. Looking at the jewelry, we can notice green shiny stones which follow what seems to be white stones that elevate its magnificence, and it is sure to get eyes glaring as it strikes a chord of elegance in the eyes of watchers. The emerald is likely to have been made around 1920 to 1925 by experts. As for the diamond, we can notice it exudes radiant quality. These two pieces, when combined together, convey originality and luxury, and in today's market, they are estimated to be worth.
And at auction, I would estimate that to be around about £12,000 to £15,000. I would say this is going to be in the region between £35,000 and £45,000. So not £150.
Not £150, no.
One of the distinguishing factors of a jewel is its precious gemstone, and this piece has quite a unique combination.
It belonged to my grandmother, Isilda, and it was left to her in a will by her great friend Myrtis.
The jewel depicts the deity Garuda, who is a half-eagle, half-man figure and is known for his speed and strength, often depicted as a symbol of courage and the vehicle of divine knowledge. It has turquoise, which has been carved from the wings of Garuda. It has emeralds and a full pack of rubies around the edge of the jewel, and a couple of stones that are slightly different green in color that might be peridot. This piece is stunningly radiant, which makes it a beauty to behold. The presence of the deity in this piece shows it is of cultural and religious heritage, which added to its intrigue and at auction would sell for
Between £2,000 to £3,000. So not £150.
Not £150, no.
The guest brought in a cherished family heirloom, a large Japanese statue of Hotei, the god of prosperity and good fortune. His father bought an old house as an office in New York in 1953 and found this item in a wooden crate in the basement. Hotei, depicted with a large belly and a smile, symbolized abundance and freedom from hunger. The figure is a distinctive Moriage glaze, a high-relief technique often used in Japanese ceramics. The large size of the statue also offered clues suggesting it wasn't meant for a private home, but rather for a more prominent location like a family temple or a public space. The Made in Japan stamp indicated the statue's export approval, further suggesting a production date sometime between 1920 and 1930. You can also see that it is heightened with gilding in all the high spots throughout, which adds stature and importance to this figure. At an auction, the estimated worth of this figure would be
$1,500 to $2,500 range at auction.
One would look at these carved wooden dogs and be fooled into believing they are exquisite bronze statues.
When you first brought it up, I thought we had this great bronze dog.
However, these are exceptionally carved wooden dogs of the ornate Black Forest style. This carving tradition began in Germany and Switzerland in the early 19th century. The frisky dogs and realistic fur can be attributed to the signature style of Walter Maeder. Maeder was celebrated for capturing the essence and personality of dogs in his carvings, specializing in realistic fur texturing and expressive faces that mirrored the breed. The guest inherited these carved wooden dogs that have been in his family for years, although there are a few repairs.
Yes. This leg came off.
Yep.
I can't tell what's going on across the face here.
At auction, these carvings would sell at
$20,000 to $25,000.
And if that's surprising, it would have an insurance value of $50,000.
$50,000?
The guest presented a fascinating historical artifact, a large railroad map dating back to 1915.
Had purchased it at a silent auction from Camden, Indiana. He had it on his living room wall. It's too big, didn't want any more, and he offered it up to me.
It is a commissioned piece created by the renowned mapmaker Rand McNally for the Chicago Northwestern Line in 1915. Rand McNally produced numerous such railroad maps during that era, and the limited number printed for each commission enhanced their collectability. One of the more exciting features of the map is its accuracy, particularly the detailed depiction of the Chicago Northwestern Line, a company eventually acquired by the Union Pacific Railroad. When it comes to the condition of the map, it is well preserved, the absence of fading or any other damage, and the original, likely company-issued frame. This further contributed to the map's overall value. For a map acquired for only $50, its current value at auction is estimated to be between
$1,000 to $1,500 on it, just for size, quality, and information.
Okay.
Sharing the captivating tale of a cherished family treasure, this woman revealed an Art Nouveau porcelain bowl dating back to the 1920s. Originally belonging to the guest's maternal relative, it has been passed down through generations. Crafted by the Amphora Company, renowned for their ceramic expertise,
Amphora went into business with family members, Riesner, Stellmacher, and Kessel, in the Teplitz area of Bohemia in 1892.
The glazed porcelain owl bears a stamp indicating its origin in Czechoslovakia. Interestingly, this exquisite owl figure portrays a range of emotions, from wisdom to knowledge, even hinting at the concept of death. Featuring elegant horns that enhance its beauty, this piece holds a price value of...
If it were there at somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000, I would not be surprised.
Oh, wonderful. Well, my Uncle John was very smart, and I know owls are supposed to be wise, and so is my brother, so I'm just delighted. Thank you.
One visit to the Boston Museum of Fine Arts told his guest that the chair sitting in his home was special. It had been his grandmother's prized possession in Philadelphia, which the guest had inherited upon her passing. A classic example of artistic furniture with a distinctly Japanese style, dated back to 1875 period. It has a number but no name, even though it's a design typical of Herder brothers, Albert Herder and Christian Herder, were furniture-making moguls who supplied the blue-blooded gentry with expertly crafted showpieces. The ebonized cherry is a distinctive Herder feature, but does it have a stamp?
And if I tip the chair back, I saw where you saw the stamp. It's just a 4-digit number. That number corresponded to the commission.
Would taking the dust scrim off reveal any secrets?
But look, over here there's something else. Let's see if we can make it out. It says Mr., and that's a last name. This is so enticing.
So how much money would this superb piece sell for?
This chair, I would think, at auction would probably have an estimate of $8,000 to $12,000.
A special vase from Royal Copenhagen was shown. It's old, maybe from the late 1920s, and was passed down from earlier family members. What makes it stand out are the silver parts on top and bottom, which are quite rare for Royal Copenhagen items. The vase shows a picture of a boat in a harbor, which looks really nice. There are some marks on the bottom that prove it's genuine Royal Copenhagen, but it's labeled as a second because it's not perfect. This big Danish vase has special silver parts. Featuring a charming scene of a sailing ship in a harbor, its mark on the bottom indicates its origin and production details. Founded in 1775, Royal Copenhagen is renowned for its quality. Despite a factory second label, due to imperfections, its value remains significant. Even though it's not flawless, its rareness and how well it's made means it's worth a lot. While examining the vase, the appraiser auctioned
between $3,000 and $5,000.
Okay.
The guest presented a fascinating heirloom, an intricately crafted silver anklet passed down through their family. Her great-uncle George heroically helped Jewish friends escape Berlin during World War II and was gifted this item. The object is an antol, a traditional anklet worn in Oman, which is on the Arabian Peninsula, specifically in the city of Nizwa. Its estimated creation date is between 1850 and 1910, placing it within a specific historical context. It is used as a part of a traditional dowry. It is made out of silver with extremely good workmanship. It is a very beautiful piece worth having, and at an auction, it would sell for between
$800 to $1,000.
Holy cow. Wow.
Acquired from an antique shop in New York City, this map of Novi Belgi, or New Netherlands, captivated the guests, leading them to purchase it in 3 installments totaling $600. This Dutch propaganda map showcases the region during the Dutch settlement, emphasizing the lucrative fur trade, especially for beaver pelts used in top hat production. The map showcases an early depiction of New Amsterdam, now New York, portraying the area as an outpost settled by the Dutch. The map features indigenous geography like longhouses and place names, highlighting the indigenous knowledge that influenced Dutch exploration and settlement. Sensitively depicting the Lenape indigenous people, the map provides a window into a time when the region was being mapped and settled by the Dutch. This map is considered the last issue of the map and is valued between $5,000 and $6,000 due to its historical significance and rarity.
That's very nice. Totally unexpected. Thank you. I love New York.
The guest brought a worker's badge he acquired from the Indian Packing Company about 20 to 25 years ago from a dealer in Green Bay. The badge was identified as a significant artifact representing the roots of the Green Bay Packers football team. The team was founded by Curly Lambeau, a legendary coach, player, and founder who worked at the Indian Packing Company in 1919. Lambeau asked the company's owner, Frank Peck, to fund the team's uniforms and use of the playing field, leading to the team's co-founding with George Calhoun. The team went on to win 6 championships and was named after the Indian Packing Company, later becoming the Green Bay Packers. The Indian Packing Company only existed from 1919 to 1921, making the badge a rare and valuable item. The guest purchased the badge for around $20 to $25, unknowingly holding the piece of football history. The guest was greatly amazed and left in awe when his badge was valued at...
Auction estimate would probably be about $1,500 to $2,000.
Oh, that's surprising.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. My brothers and sisters might change their mind about me owning this.
The guest brought in a cherished family heirloom, a Sessions clock adorned with an advertisement for Calumet baking powder. The clock is a box rectangular clock produced by the Sessions Clock Company in Forestville, Connecticut. It was made around 1900 and is commonly found in stores and businesses. The clock, however, is not a true regulator clock, so this makes it a little bit more rare. However, the exceptional condition of the advertisement and the overall clock are crucial factors in the advertising memorabilia market. It is a time-only piece, which means it only keeps time and doesn't strike. This specific feature, along with the clock's 31-day calendar complication, distinguished it from more standard models. While a typical Sessions box regulator clock might fetch $300 to $400, The Calumet advertisement and the clock's excellent condition significantly boosted its worth. The estimated retail value is
For $800 to $1,200.
Oh wow, that's exciting. My brothers and sisters might change their mind about me owning this.
Step back in time with this piece. The watch belonged to the guest's grandfather, who was a naval aviator. The 1970 Rolex watch belonged to the series called GMT Master.
You have a second hand there that's red that rotates every 24 hours. So when you were a pilot, you could time 2 locations. And this is what's called a 1675 reference number.
This watch still retains its original dial and also hasn't been polished.
And it hasn't been polished as original dial. GMTs are super sought after, especially early 70s one.
The watch is valued at?
A watch like this would probably retail for about $5,000.
Wow. In the hands of a regular observer, this guitar might seem like just another instrument, but to a discerning connoisseur, it shines as a true vintage treasure. This 1956 Gretsch 6120 guitar is often associated with Chet Atkins, also known as Mr. Guitar, who was an American musician who helped create the Nashville sound.
It's a Chet Atkins model. Chet Atkins was an iconic endorser of Gretsch, played Gretsch's his whole life.
The guitar, made with birch and maple, has been well preserved.
Pretty common wood for what we call electric acoustic arch tops of the day. This is a Western motif model.
This model, known for its flashy orange finish, includes a distinctive leather strap with a metal buckle. Accompanied by its original cream-colored case, this Gretsch 6120 is not just a guitar, but a piece of musical history that's worth...
In a retail store, I think that this is easily a $7,500 guitar to an $8,500 guitar.
Wow.
So, and a very, very nice example, and I'm so glad that you brought it in to show it to me.
Hey, that's a great turn on the investment, isn't it? That's awesome. Thank you so much.
The guest brought an Egyptian hawk mummy she purchased in 1996 at an auction in Rhode Island. It was part of an estate sale from an old professor's house in Maine. The guest had no idea of the mummy's value and paid $2,500 for it. Mummified animals and birds were common offerings in Egyptian tombs. This specific mummy was dedicated to the god Horus, the god of light and lord of the sky. These types of mummies dated from 650 BC to 250 AD. To make even the most seasoned collectors intrigued, the appraiser estimated this mummy's worth at...
I think a retail market for this would be between $3,500 and about $5,000.
Wow. It's amazing. I would never sell it.
This is a historical cartographic representation of the United States in 1887. Our guest purchased this map in an auction in southern Wisconsin. This relief map was individually painted and depicts the geographical and developmental changes of the period. Under the administration of Grover Cleveland, the United States expanded significantly, acquiring vast territories through purchases, treaties, and westward expansion, including the western states such as California, Oregon, and Washington. This map is extremely rare as they were handmade and only a few of them were made. Although there's a little bit of wear on this piece, this painting is significant to the history of the development of the United States and is worth...
I would say a retail value of around $2,500.
Are you serious?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really? 10,000, that's phenomenal.
Made in the early part of the 20th century, this piece was purchased by the guest's grandparents at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933.
Vienna bronze table lamp. You have the largest one I've ever seen, and I think it's a giant economy size.
This Vienna bronze lamp was made by the Franz Bergmann Foundry, a facility inherited by Franz, and was noted for his detailed and colorful work. He signed with the letter B in an urn-shaped cartouche, and these marks were used to disguise his identity in erotic works. The facility was notably known to produce numerous painted and cold-painted bronzes, oriental, erotic, and animal figures, and this piece is quite an example of the facility product. It was marked on the back and had a two-handled vase with the B for Bergman in there, showing its authenticity. The amazing detail of the casting and finishing, and the way it's painted, showed its uniqueness. A piece of this magnitude, with such a commanding presence, is bound to fetch top dollar, and its value is estimated to be
$10,000 range.
Really? 10,000. That's phenomenal.
No way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The guest brought in a watch fob chain inherited from their aunt, fearing they might have unwittingly discarded similar valuable items while cleaning out her belongings. The chain is a far cry from costume jewelry. It is a meticulously crafted piece of 14-karat yellow gold, likely dating back to the late 1800s. Each intricate link in the chain was done with great artisanal skill involved in its creation. In the making process, the gold is manually drawn and shaped to achieve the desired design. The chain itself wasn't just a single piece, it featured sections specifically designed for attaching a pocket watch and potentially another fob, such as a decorative seal or a practical tool like a pocket knife. Recognizing the historical significance of the watch fob chain, its value extended far beyond the weight of its gold content. Taking the chain's unique characteristics into account, its auction value would range between
$4,000 to $6,000. No way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This piece represents a significant time in American history. It shows the 1864 presidential campaign flag of the then President Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States.
Abraham Lincoln didn't fit, so they put Abram.
He took to the polls in 1864 for a second-term re-election, which he won against his opponent, George McClellan, by a landslide.
Lincoln was running against McClellan, who was a Civil War general, and they disliked each other intensely.
The appraiser values this flag at about...
This flag, the value would be $8,000 to $12,000 at auction.
In 2020, the value rose to between $10,000 to $15,000. What do you think the value will be today? Let us know in the comments.
This guest brought in a gleaming pocket watch. Family history suggests it belonged to the guest's husband's uncle. She recounts the watch's journey. A treasured family heirloom gifted on a 25th wedding anniversary, likely in the 1950s. This incredible pocket watch originated from Patek Philippe, a name synonymous with horological excellence for over 160 years. Exquisite enamel work adorns the watch face, encased in a luxurious platinum body. Interestingly, the watch has a triple signature on the case, movement, and dial.
For the war, they didn't put reference numbers in the case. This was probably manufactured between 1925 and 1935.
The accompanying chain, with its delicate handmade links, is likely from the same era, potentially the watch's original companion. This amazing chain is estimated between $1,000 to $1,200. The valuation reflects this rarity. An estimated auction price for the watch alone.
Market at a good auction house would probably gavel at around between $5,500 and $6,500 for the watch alone.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
The painting had been in the guest family since the 1960s when her parents acquired it for $325. This painting, made in 1945, bore the signature of Edouard Cortés. Edouard Cortés was a highly esteemed French painter of great acclaim, renowned for his exquisite depictions of Parisian streets. This particular painting captures Rue Réal in Paris, prominently featuring La Madeleine, a familiar sight often depicted in Cortés's work. The appraiser was able to identify the pinhole in the painting. This painting also embodied Cortés's trademark use of vibrant colors, with faces artfully obscured, a distinctive feature of his artistic style. The painting was housed in a 13 by 18-inch frame, with both the frame and the artwork itself in excellent condition. The appraiser estimated the worth of this art piece to be
closer to $55,000.
The guest's delight was evident upon discovering the substantial worth of the item. The guest, who owns a cozy gallery filled with prints and paintings, is curious about caring for their treasures and learning their age and backstory. These prints are believed to be by Nathaniel Currier around 1852. Authenticating them is crucial due to the high number of reproductions. Appraiser explains that these can be authenticated through titles, size, and magnified grain patterns.
One thing you need to do is you need to look at the grain using a magnification. And when you brought these in, the first thing I did was look at that.
Irregular patterns confirm their original stone lithographs. Unfortunately, they have foxing and acid damage, but they can be restored. In their current state, each print is valued at around $6,000. Restoring them could increase their value to
It's $8,000. Now that's a retail value, but they're some of the best current eyes prints, and they're delightful. I'm delighted, and that's $8,000 each.
Wow. Wow.
Violins are more than just instruments. They're vessels of history. Take, for instance, the heirloom passed down from a Detroit radio maestro, a testament to the craftsmanship and family legacy. Once owned by a Detroit radio music leader, they've kept it in the family. There are old pictures of them playing with the orchestra. The violin has a big crack, but it's special. The way the violin is made, the stuff it's made from, and how it's finished is just like that of what George Chanot did. They probably made it around 1820. The wood used in the violin is also what they've used for violins since the 1500s. They use spruce for the front and maple for the back, sides, neck, and peg box. The maple used here is really pretty. The old case it comes from, made from alligator skin, is also cool. While examining the qualities of the violin, the appraiser said,
$30,000 to $40,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Really? Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
We have here one of the finest works of a very skillful potter inherited from her great-grandfather. A guest brought a vase, and it's not just an ordinary vase, it is a vase made by George Orr. He was one of the finest American ceramic artists of all time, gaining recognition for his experimentation with modern clay forms from 1880 to 1910. Looking at this vase, it's quite unusual to come across one of George's works this large, since he mostly worked on hand-sized ceramics. Hence, this piece is one of the very rare pieces. Near its base, there is a visible twist. The green color looks vibrant on its surface. However, there's a little chip at the front and another small chip at the opening of the vase. At the base, there is a mark by George Orr, testifying to its authenticity. But overall, it is still pretty much intact and very valuable. As one of George Orr's rarest and finest works, and also considering the provenance of this piece, it would place its auction value at
$15,000 to $20,000.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
It's not every day we get to see an interestingly painted wooden box. This painted box is fascinating because it was crafted by Jacob Weber, professional painter in Germany, during the early 1900s. Weber was widely renowned for his phenomenal paintings, which often captured the mood of the social and cultural order of his time. This piece is in remarkably pristine condition, showcasing the craftsmanship of its era. Antiques like this one have become highly collectible over the years. At the base of the box are 4 legs providing sturdy support. The demand for such an amazing box is very high, and being exceptionally well preserved would undoubtedly set its value at auction to be around
$120,000.
Really?
It is a fabulous, fabulous box.
The guests found this painting at garage sale in Sebring leaning against a garbage can. Despite not initially appealing to the guest, who stored it under a bed and later in a closet, the painting is signed and dated 1944. Kelly Fearing, the artist, was part of the Fort Worth Circle, a group in Texas known for advancing European modernism. The painting depicts a scene reminiscent of Edward Hopper with elements of surrealism and a slightly depressing tone, likely influenced by the Second World War. The painting, done in watercolor with some gouache, is estimated to be worth between $5,000 to $8,000 at auction.
Okay, very good. That's
So
very
not bad.
interesting. No.
And the frame and the glass, $5 maybe, $5.
This dance costume, named Doug by the guest, was acquired as part of a large collection with a fascinating history. This costume is from Vanuatu, made for dance performances on Melikula. Featuring boar tusks, natural fibers, and clay elements, this costume reflects the cultural and artistic traditions of the Melikula. The blue paint on the clay elements suggests ongoing renovations, as is common with dance masks from Melikula. The authentic dance costume was made for actual use and not for sale, highlighting its cultural significance and histories. Estimated to be part from the early to mid-20th century, this costume holds a value of $3,500 to $4,500 at a reputable auction or gallery, making it a valuable and culturally rich piece of art.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This lovely piece of painting was made by the Haitian artist Antoine Aubin. Aubin was a visual artist born in Cape Haitian. Son of Philomi Aubin and a student of his father. He joined the Centre des Arts in 1946. This painting was done in 1965.
And this is the classic period of the best fresh Haitian.
The appraiser values that.
I'd say, maybe between $2,000 and $4,000.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
I like that.
In 2019, the value fell to between $800 and $1,200. What do you think the value will be today? The comments are open.
Oh my God. I'm rich.
A painting was presented by the guest, which belonged to her husband's grandmother and was passed down through the family. The beautiful piece was painted by an artist named Gilbert Gall, who served in the Union Army during the Civil War and was known for his Civil War scenes. The appraiser provided background on Gilbert Gall's life and career. The artist was renowned for his highly valuable and spectacular Civil War scenes and illustrations for Harper's Magazine. The guest revealed that she owned 7 paintings by Gall, all originally unframed and rolled up canvases. Impressed by the quality of the painting, the appraiser suggested a value of around
$15,000 and $25,000.
Oh my God. I'm rich.
Cat lovers unite with this piece. This lovely Dutch cat portrait tile panel was bought from Belgium by his guest for $100. This lovely portrait shows a relationship between the Dutch and cats.
The Dutch have a long relationship with the cat, and they particularly like to put them on their tiles.
The scale and quality indicate it was done sometime at the end of the 19th century. The appraiser values it at?
If it came to auction today, it should certainly bring over $600 and perhaps as much as $900.
Nice.
Passed on to the guest by a dear friend, these pieces are called spaniels. They were made in the mid-19th century, around 1850. The features include a Rockingham-style glaze, and the flint enamel work is called treacle glaze. In addition to that, the holes in the bottoms are for vents where heat is released from inside the dog when it is in the kiln. An unusual feature of this piece is the size, which is about 16 to 17 inches high. Unlike typical spaniels, which are much shorter.
Spaniels that are not white, that have a great Rockingham type glaze, that's absolutely in wonderful, wonderful condition.
Owning a spaniel piece adds historical charm and personal collection to a collection, showcasing the breed's unique beauty and cultural significance, and would fetch a modest price of
$2,000 to $3,000.
I am blown away. Oh, good, he's getting some recognition.
George Napoleon Rucker, the guest's great-uncle, learned to pitch from a book and made it to the big leagues. This is a historical baseball picture. Knapp was the roommate of the quite demanding player Ty Cobb. Knapp joined the Brooklyn team in 1907, all the way from Georgia to play baseball. He was a kind Southern gentleman who started as a printer's apprentice, but was drawn to baseball by the promise of a $10,000 reward for pitching.
Supposedly that's how he got to trying out for the Augusta Tourists in 1904 and 1905.
He became known for his fastball and later for pioneering the knuckleball after injuring his arm. It is a rare and early photo, including the owner of the team, Charlie Ebbets. Despite being a bad team, it's valued at
$4,000 to $6,000. Okay?
I am blown away. Oh, good, he's getting some recognition.
Today we appraise a piece from one of the legends of the music industry. These autographs were signed by the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. Elvis signed these in 1959 for the guest's husband, who was an Army major stationed in Munich. They were signed so Elvis could get an extended pass from the Army.
Elvis Presley was not your average soldier.
Yes.
He was stationed in Germany with the 32nd Armored Division from, I believe, October of 1958 until March of 1960.
This was also the year he met his ex-wife, Priscilla, in Germany. The appraiser has this to say about the signatures.
It's a nice signature. He even put the A for Aaron. He was very official, Elvis A. Presley. But this one's a completely different animal because it actually has something to do with his time in the military, which is incredibly rare because this is an official military document.
They're valued at about?
This signature would probably sell for about $1,000 to $1,500. Because this is an official military document, this would be more of a $3,000 to $5,000 signature. Here, on your papers that have been sitting, I don't know where you keep them at home.
In my safety deposit box in the bank.
This piece exudes timeless elegance. a watch received as a gift by our guest from her husband, a watch collector. It is thrilling to know that this isn't just a watch because it could serve as a clasp pin. Made in the 1940s by the Concord Watch Company, inlaid around the watch bezel is a silver-colored floral design. Another interesting fact regarding this watch is that it was very popular among Hollywood celebrities in the 1940s. Also, it is a retro piece from the 1940s which still has its elegant and well-preserved look that makes it a very rare find. A watch of such elegance that was popular among Hollywood celebrities, coupled with its well-preserved condition, would undoubtedly command a high auction value of
somewhere between $25,000 to $30,000.
The saxophone was treasured by the guest's father-in-law, purchased locally in the 50s, but believed to have originated from France. In the late 80s, he intended to refurbish it, but local experts advised against it, sensing its uniqueness.
He had left it to me in his will, and I treasure it for that reason. I would never sell it, but I'd really like to know what it's worth.
It is a Selmer alto saxophone, a prestigious brand founded near Paris in 1885. There are various sizes of saxophones. This one is an alto sax, renowned for its high-range sound. Selmer saxophones, especially the super balanced action model, are highly sought after in the jazz world.
Most of the major American alto saxophone players have used this horn. Paul Desmond played his immortal solo on Take 5.
Its superb condition, including its original case, increases its value. Extra engraving and possibly added gemstones enhance its appearance. Serial number indicates it's from the golden age of saxophones, roughly between 1950 and 1960. Guest guesses its value conservatively at a couple $1,000s. Appraiser estimates that on the retail market, it could fetch
Replacement value, it would be between $7,000 and $9,000.
Wow.
Not only just because of what it is, but because of the fantastic condition.
Passed down from the guest's father to him, this baseball photo is a piece of baseball history. The guest's father, who was a big name in baseball through his fame, was able to participate in reputable games that involved teams like the Yankees at the time.
We did Major League games when the big league teams came to Hawaii.
And how many teams came over the years?
Well, the Yankees came, the Dodgers came, Cardinals.
So the big names.
The big names.
We can see here the photo features some of the best baseball players at the time. I'm talking about players like Roy Campanella and Jackie Robinson. This photo is a piece of greatness as a few years later these players got to play for the Baseball All-Stars team. It's not every day you see a photo that has superstars like this, and so this photo is valued at
Of $6,000 to $8,000 in the photo.
I can't believe that.
And if you're going to insure it, I'd insure it for at least $10,000.
Since 1993, the guest has treasured this beautiful box left to her by her late aunt. This hand-painted enamel box hails from Germany, likely crafted in the late 19th century, perhaps in the 1880s or 1890s. The box featured a captivating enamel painting on the lid, portraying two lovers amidst a forest scene. The box showcased intricate cobalt blue and white enamel designs along its edges, with miniature landscapes and panels adorning the sides. Upon opening, the box revealed a delightful surprise: a beautifully crafted chirping bird, a true feast for the eyes.
Beautiful.
How in the world did they get the wings?
The bird's wings moved with automated mechanical precision, adding a mesmerizing touch to the box's charm. The appraiser suggested the price of this beautiful masterpiece to be
The $3,000 to $5,000 range.
It's a lot.
However, the guest made it clear that she had no intention to sell it.
I will never sell it.
The items in question are ceramic pieces, imitations of a Scottish manufacturer called Weems. However, these particular pieces lack the Weems mark that authenticates them.
I think each one would bring about $500 to $700 by virtue of their decorative quality.
Despite this, these ceramic pigs are remarkably well-made imitations, featuring faux dirt to enhance their realistic appearance. These ceramic pigs likely came into the family's possession due to their decorative appeal. Although not genuine Weems, their quality and attention to detail make them desirable items. Each item is estimated to be worth
The guest brought in a cherished childhood companion, a well-loved mohair teddy bear named Ted. Accompanying the bear was a photograph showing the guest's father, at the tender age of 2, holding Ted close. Ted is a Steiff bear, a prestigious German manufacturer renowned for their high-quality teddy bears. This revelation brought a gasp of delight from the guest, who had always suspected Ted's pedigree but lacked any confirming tags or labels. He does have the original button in the ear, and it's the button that has the underscored F at the end of Steiff. He is a nice light brown mohair teddy bear. The worn patches, replaced pads, and missing stuffing all served as a testament to Ted's enduring presence throughout the guest's life. Despite the wear and tear, Ted's status as a Steiff bear and his rich history with the guest's family placed his value between
$2,000 to $2,500.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
but with an updated value of $600 to $800. The guest brought a group of prints acquired at an estate sale for $2,500. They were created by the significant Cuban artist of the 20th century named Agustin Fernandez. The appraiser discussed the artist's background and the importance of the prints, which were identified as etchings. Each print exhibited sculptural quality and the use of intaglio techniques, giving them a three-dimensional appearance. The artist used ink technique in the etchings, which produced a radiant effect resembling metallic ink. The prints were individually signed and dated 1964 and were printed in Paris by esteemed printers, adding to their value. Due to the growing interest in Latin American artists, the particular collection could fetch around
$4,000 to $6,000 range, and I really think it could sell for a bit more than that.
A beautiful pastel artwork was presented by the guest, who received it from her husband in 1997. Purchased for $25,000 at the Arkansas Art Center, the remarkable piece was created by Max Weber. The appraiser provided background on the artist.
Max Weber was one of the most important of the American modern painters. He was born in 1881 and died in 1961.
Highlighting his significance as one of America's leading modern painters. After his time in Paris in the early 1910s, Weber shifted from representational to symbolist style. The particular piece was a rare pastel from 1916, showcasing Weber's uncommon work before he focused on figurative and cubist styles. The guest was pleasantly surprised by the potential value of her artwork.
Somewhere between $35,000 or $45,000 in today's marketplace.
Really?
Yes, that's true.
A piece with a fascinating story behind it. This 1849 Colt pocket revolver belonged to the guest's great-grandfather, who received it from a friend.
And this friend of his was, according to this letter, a bodyguard for President Lincoln and supposedly got a shot off at John Wilkes Booth during the assassination.
The letter is dated 1923 and was written by her great-grandfather.
The friend of my great-great-grandfather's, this Fletcher Budd, was a criminal lawyer in Philadelphia in the 1870s, 1880s, and other than that, we don't know much about him.
This letter tells a different story, the events believed to have happened that day.
What do you know about the Lincoln assassination?
The basic story that he was shot at Ford Theater and Wilkes Booth supposedly broke his leg when he fell off the balcony or jumped off the balcony.
I believe that the letter actually says that the Fletcher Budd broke John Wilkes Booth's leg.
The gun appears to still have all its original accessories, and with its serial number, it is believed to have been made in 1862.
So, as you know, Lincoln was assassinated on April 14th, 1865.
Yes.
So it's very conceivable that this gun, at least from a timeline...
Aside from this intriguing find, other facts dispute the story.
From what I know of the assassination, Lincoln only had one bodyguard that night.
Right.
And he left his post that evening, which allowed John Wilkes Booth to enter into Lincoln's private booth and assassinate him with a Henry Derringer.
The name of that bodyguard was John Parker.
Lincoln didn't have, as you pointed out, any sort of official group of guys that were his bodyguards. And in fact, John Parker was on loan to him from the Metropolitan Police Service that evening.
Without concrete provenance, this gun is valued at?
This condition, at auction, I would estimate this pistol is worth about $2,000 to $3,000.
Oh, wow.
If there was any way that we could truly document the history behind it and support it more, I would guess that it would be about $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh, wow.
The piece was inherited from her grandfather, who actually acquired it in the early 1900s. This Persian Bijar carpet hailed from the northwestern Iran, prized for their durability and intricate designs. It is crafted with a unique wet weaving technique. They're exceptionally sturdy. Persian Bijar carpets typically feature rich and vibrant colors such as deep reds, blues, greens, and golds. Her grandfather didn't get this as a new rug. The straight area of wear running across the center of the rug suggests a specific traffic pattern, or possibly caused by a raised floorboard underneath. Persian Bihar carpets are typically crafted using high-quality wool sourced from local sheep. Adorned with intricate patterns and woven with the finest threads, embodies timeless sophistication. The appraiser values the item.
$7,000 for it in an auction situation.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for bringing it in.
In 1935, the owner's father, a Royal Scots Fusilier, bought this silver piece in India.
He died, I sold them because, quite honestly, insurances and everything else was too much.
Yes.
But I've always loved this.
It may seem like a spoon warmer, but it's a swear box. Any swear word spoken required a coin to be dropped in. Originally, it might have held a sovereign, dating back to 1866 in Dublin. Silver piece's origin raises questions, being from an Irish maker. The maker's mark, JS, and the retailer's stamp, West, signifying its authenticity. Despite the missing key, the lock secures its contents, confirming its authenticity with the lid's flush hinge to the Nautilus shell. This one, lacking a spoon slot, convinces us it was made as a swear box, unlike traditional spoon warmers. Its unique design makes accurate appraisal challenging.
I suggest you perhaps insure it for somewhere around $5,000.
Really? Yes.
The guest brought this federal inlaid mahogany sideboard, dated back to about 1785 to 1795, has been a cherished family heirloom. Federal sideboards like this evolved in America when specific rooms, such as formal dining rooms, became more common in the late 18th century. The sideboard, originating from Connecticut, was designed to display wealth and treasures, featuring intricate details such as Chippendale-style brasses and Connecticut-style lightwood inlay. While the current brasses are not entirely fitting, replacing them with an oval federal poles would enhance the piece's appearance. In today's market, it's valued between $20,000 to $25,000, making it a prized possession for any collector.
Are you pretty happy?
Oh, yes.
The guest recounted an interesting story of acquiring letters and a cigarette box that originally belonged to her uncle. After his passing, it was inherited by his wife, then by her son, and finally purchased by the guest for $1,000. The guest's uncle had gone to school with President John F. Kennedy and had been lifelong friends with him. The appraiser examined both letters, noting authentic signatures for Robert F. Kennedy on one of them.
So it's very unusual to see something that in fact has a signature that is authentic.
The first letter was about the Equal Employment Opportunity Conference, and the other referenced JFK. The letters were noted to have charred edges due to damage from a house fire in which the guest's uncle lost his life. The other item examined was a cigarette box, which was a wedding gift to the guest's aunt and uncle from JFK. The appraiser identified it as a wonderful piece of Kennedy memorabilia. The total value estimated for all the items together was about $11,050 to $16,500.
Seriously.
He inherited a pocket globe through his great-grandmother, who moved from Switzerland to the United States in the mid-1800s. This globe has imagery on the cover and is housed in a fox leather box. C. Abel Klinger created this amazing piece, a continuation of a business initially started by Mr. Klinger in Nuremberg, Germany. The business continued under various management, and Karl Abel took over around 1851. The globe is estimated from the 1880s and valued at approximately $2,000 to $2,500 at auction.
Wow. If you sold it today. That's great.
Only a few items can boast as being as old as the United States. Today's sword is part of those few items. Likely created around 1700, this sword was used by soldiers called cavalrymen to fight the Revolutionary War that started in 1775. As seen on the blade, there are 3 lines called blood grooves. These blood grooves were created to lighten the blade so they could be properly used in the war. As with most swords, this sword's handle was made with cast brass to give its user a firmer grip.
It's made of a piece of cast brass.
There's also a pommel cap, which is important because it holds the sword together. Considering all these features, importance, and the long history of this sword, its value in today's auction market should be around
$4,500. Wow.
She owns a Tiffany & Company pocket watch with a fob set with dematoid garnets. The owner received it from her husband, whose father was known in New Orleans as Diamond Jim Morin. The item was a Tiffany & Company signature on the dial, movement, and back. The dematoid garnets were rare and mined in Russia in the late 1800s to early 1900s. This is definitely worth more than emeralds. It's estimated that the value of this piece at $10,000 to $15,000 at auction.
Wow! Hey, Ann, we're going to Italy.
At an auction, it could go even more.
Really?
Yes.
Guest recounts his father's journey from Peebles, Ohio, where he disliked farming, to seeking refinement in San Diego in the 1930s. Guest recalls seeing the cufflink set as a child in the 1950s.
And the gentleman either gave him this set or he purchased it. We don't know exactly. I remember as a child seeing it in the 50s.
It dates back to around 1915 and features intricate details. Cufflinks are made of 14-karat gold with carved rock crystal and platinum settings with rose-cut diamonds. A sugarloaf sapphire is embedded in the cufflinks. The set includes pieces for cufflinks, shirt studs, vest buttons, and hooks. Original Cartier box increases value of the set. French hallmarks on the cufflinks indicate they were made in France. It's a top-of-the-line set and has great worth.
This set would bring $12,000 to $15,000. At an auction, it could go even more.
Really?
Yes.
The guest stumbled upon a miniature square piano in an antique shop, captivating her with its charm. Piano was purportedly originated in 1700s Germany, crafted for a Dutch girl. The piece was from the 19th century, around 1850 to 1860. Its tapered legs and grain painting, typical of the era, indicated it was from the Empire style. This grain painting imitated the expensive rosewood, making it more affordable. Small but mighty, this miniature square piano wasn't a toy, but a well-constructed instrument. Despite missing parts and aged keys, it was remarkably well preserved.
And the keys have been not refinished, but overpainted.
The square piano's auction estimate soared to...
If I had this in an auction today, I would estimate it in probably the $1,500 to $1,700 range.
The item brought in is a cherished doll that has been in the guest family for generations, originally belonging to their beloved great-grandmother. It's a German doll, categorized as a character doll due to its lifelike appearance rather than a typical doll face.
I brought you this doll that's been in my family for a long time.
Crafted by the Simon Halbig Company around 1910, it features an open, closed mouth, a composition body, an original mohair wig, and still wears its original clothes. The doll holds cherished memories for the guest as it belonged to their great-grandmother.
I always loved dolls. She had a big collection in her house in New York City.
Despite its age, the doll is in excellent condition, which is quite rare for dolls of this era. The fact that it retains its original features and clothing contributes to its worth.
Oh, on a real bad day, maybe $2,000. On a real good day, probably $4,000.
The guest brings this exquisite sand bell, which she inherited from her father. The sand bell is made of blown glass.
And they had to turn it upside down, right, and fill it somehow, right, because there's no opening up here on the top.
The delicate nature of the sand filling showcases the level of craftsmanship put into this piece.
And can you imagine, this had to be filled, and the grains of sand moved around with a fine instrument to arrange the grains of sand and have it be solid to the belt.
The level is also beautifully decorated, enhancing its aesthetic appeal.
If you look at the top, you see these flower motifs, and then these sea scrolls, and then this Gothic arch. And then we get into this seashell.
This lovely picture represents the Isle of Wight, a famous tourist attraction. There's also a figure of Britannia with a trident and an oval portrait of Queen Victoria, the queen at that time.
And then you go around to the side, and these amazing windows with a Gothic peak on the window, and a waterfall on the back.
This piece dates from 1850 to 1865, probably in the south of England. There's a slight crack on it. This doesn't significantly affect its value. There is a similarity of this piece to rare sandbells made by Andrew Clemens.
And he made some amazing sand jars also. The thing is, if it's by Andrew Clemens, it's worth a multiple of what it's worth as an English piece.
The appraiser values this piece at about?
In the marketplace right now, a conservative estimate on this would be $5,000 to $8,000.
Oh, wow.
Not everyone can recognize an exquisite piece of art, but today's guest is not part of that fold, as he has an eye for greatness. We can see a rocker chair. The rocker chair is made by Chester Cornett, who was a recognized wooden chair maker that specialized in making these types of wooden chairs.
Here's Chester Cornett standing next to the chair, and he was a chair maker making traditional chairs starting at the age of 15.
According to the appraiser, usually these kinds of chairs were made for a client of Chester, but this one, being different, was made for Chester's personal use. We can see the chair is made from mahogany wood, which is a type of heavy wood from a West Indian tree. As a piece of folk art, this chair provides a foundation for future folk art masterpieces, and since it was created by a genius, it fetches around
Area of $3,000 to $5,000 right now in value.
At first glance, this lamp shines with a radiance reminiscent of a Tiffany lamp, but there's a case of mistaken identity here. The guest bought it from a glass vendor back in the late 70s.
We saw the signature on
the
lamp,
shade.
on the
Okay.
shade.
However, upon closer inspection, the base of this lamp has been clumsily repainted and lacks the quality typical of a Tiffany lamp. Furthermore, there's an unfamiliar, non-authentic Tiffany mark on it. While the shade is of decent quality, it doesn't quite match the exceptional standard of a genuine Tiffany lamp.
So I would imagine that someone at one point or another had this nice shade and this nice base and merged them.
Together.
It's quite a tale of mistaken identity, but the guest has certainly enjoyed using it over the decades. This faux lamp, lacking the recognizable Tiffany Studio tag, would sell for...
If you put this in an auction right now, in the condition it is, you're probably $300 to $500 or maybe even $400 to $600. So it's a wonderful, interesting tale of mistaken identity, let's say that.
Okay, yeah.
And the person that sold it to you may very well have not known.
Well, we knew when we did it that there was a risk, and like you say, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I don't feel near as bad now about putting it out and using it.
These beautiful porcelain jars have been in the Guest family for many years. They're both Chinese porcelains dating to 1700 during the Qing dynasty.
Qing dynasty started in 1644, right after the Ming dynasty.
Okay.
Okay.
Reign of Emperor Kangxi. There are several notable differences between both pieces.
This one has its original cover. This one has a open work wood cover that's a later addition. That would have had a cover similar to this.
Also, this has the Kangxi mark at the bottom, while this doesn't.
Now this one has some shaped reserves of antiquities, as it's known, whereas this one is prunus blossom on a blue ground all around.
They're both lovely jars, and the appraiser values them about...
This one, without the cover, without a mark, I would say $1,500 to $2,000, something like that. This one, with the cover and with the mark, $3,000 to $5,000, maybe more. They're both very, very nice jars, and they're in great condition, and they're 300 years old.
Scotsmen are known for their quality, but this grandfather clock sets the standard and positions them as the masters of their craft.
Clock, I don't know, let's do a little detective work here, was Scottish. I can see a signature on the dial, A&W Marshall Wishall.
Made in 1838, we can see the dials exude longevity, and the clock is also tall, which may not be conventional to most people. There's so much originality with this grandfather clock because we can see that the feet are intact and the rosettas add design to the clock. When we look at this clock, we can visibly resonate with the aura of longevity, and that's exactly why it auctions at
Between $6,000 and $7,000.
The guest brought in a pendant watch which belonged to the family, and what is unique about this piece is that the chain is all made of platinum wire with natural pearls.
On my great-grandmother's side, they're from the steel manufacturing and mining, and on my great-grandfather's side, a great-great-uncle developed a steam engine.
It is a beautiful, exquisite chain from the Edwardian period, early 20th century, and it's accented with a little rose diamond panel. This beautiful pendant features a French enamel on its surface originally thought to be glass. Around the pendant is a little bezel of rose diamonds, and when the pendant is flipped, you can see a lady's watch. Attached to it are 2 pearls, and one of the pearls is also the stem to set and wind the watch. The fact that the watch inside the pendant is from Switzerland and the pearls are naturally cultured, depicting this piece to be of immense quality, and it is valued at
$25,000. Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
This old campaign poster sure evokes nostalgia, featuring a political poster of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, whose vision led to a lot of improvements in education, employment, and the economy. This poster was received from the campaign director of Dallas County by the guest in 1960, when the guest was the president of the Young Democrats. Large political posters like this one aren't as common since they are typically produced in smaller sizes for convenience.
Political posters are of a smaller nature because they were either lawn signs, which were not as popular then as they are now, but
there's a little damage on the lower left side of the poster, but overall, it's very well preserved for its age. Interestingly, posters like this have been steadily increasing in value from the 1990s. The little damage on the poster doesn't significantly reduce, coupled with the fact that it is very well preserved. Hence, its value at auction would undoubtedly be around
$6,000 to $8,000.
The guest brought in a painting with a special connection to their Iowa roots, a doorstep in Amana by Grant Wood. Grant Wood is a celebrated American regionalist painter known for his evocative portrayals of the Midwest. One of his most iconic creations is American Gothic, instantly recognizable for its portrayal of a stern-faced farmer and his wife. This piece was made in 1930 around the time Grant Wood was in Europe. The sense of spontaneity captured in the brushstrokes, a testament to Wood's practice of painting on location. The use of a board as a base further supported this notion, suggesting a more immediate and less meticulously planned creation compared to some of Wood's studio works. The painting's subject matter, a simple doorstep scene in Amana, might not be as widely sought after as Wood's portrayals of rural landscapes or figures. However, similar paintings by Wood had recently commanded impressive prices, ranging from
$30,000 to $50,000.
Like this one?
Yes, absolutely.
This piece of photographic art was presented by the guest. It is a portfolio that was purchased in 1964 from Ansel Adams, who was an American landscape photographer and environmentalist known for his black and white images of the American West. He received an honorary fellowship of the Royal Photographic Society in 1976 for his photographic exploits.
And so I wrote them and we bought the portfolio.
Quite remarkably, these pieces are 3 representative images from a portfolio of 16 photographs that Adams did of the Yosemite Valley. An important thing to note is that they are signed by Adams and archivally mounted. The quality of this landscape photographic print is remarkable, adding to its perceived value, and would sell for
16 photographs in the portfolio at $30,000 to $50,000.